Yeah, that's
Tornado.
good. Yeah, tornado, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay. So I guess I just want to get started by just asking you all maybe to introduce yourself a little bit, since we don't know each other. I want this to be very interactive. So I'm going to be asking you guys questions throughout this, and there's really no wrong answers. A lot of them are going to be kind of opinion-based answers, feeling-based answers a little bit. But if we could maybe just get started, and just talk about maybe why you're here, what mindset shift brought you to join this webinar, essentially. So Joel, since you've been talking, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. My name is Joel, and this is my partner, Reggie. We're with Troubling Coffee. We're new to the coffee industry, if you will. We launched our website in January. Troubling Coffee. We love the outdoors. We just like hiking, camping, and of course, we love coffee. So we're transitioning from another business into coffee, and we're here to obviously learn from the best. Get some ideas, and hopefully build a sustainable brand that's going to help me into retirement.
I love that.
That's it, man. That's who we are. That's what we do. And we're based out of San Diego, Carlsbad, Encinitas, and Oceanside are some of the spots that we hit right now. But of course, we have an online presence. And that's a little bit of us.
Okay, cool. Anybody else want to go?
I can go.
Okay.
I'm Becca Ald. I'm here with my co-owner, Matt Agustinelli. We have Little Baggins Coffee Roasters. We sell primarily online, and we also are based out of San Diego. What brought us here is we had like some ideas on our marketing, but even with the messages that we've exchanged, Quentin, it's been really helpful just to know that like we really just want to stay on brand. And so just learning how we can even more hone in on our target audience will be helpful.
Cool. Okay, that's great. Okay, Kathy?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so I'm a little bit different. So I am not a coffee roaster. I own a cafe and coffee shop. But a lot of your social posts, Quentin, speak to me as well, as far as branding and how to sell more coffee and how to market what we're doing a little bit more. So I serve Rusty Dog Coffee that is brewed in Madison, and they are an up and coming award-winning coffee roaster here just a few miles from me, and my customers love the brand. But I have recently been reading some books about niching down, and I tend to do a lot of different things and really want to focus on maybe finding a better niche to save me some hours of marketing.
Sure. Okay. That's great. Okay, good. Well, my name's Quentin. You guys know me already for the most part. Or at least you see my posts online. I'm actually wanting to get more out there and just kind of show my face a little bit more. I kind of realize that that's super important for you guys to feel like you're connected to me. It's like not just some words on a page every single day. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I'm also doing it because I see that a lot of people in the coffee space, especially people that are just getting started or just haven't really gotten any momentum or traction yet, they lack their niche, right? They don't understand what it is. They lack branding. And it seems scary for them to say, hey, I'm going to only sell, I'm going to avoid 99% of the population and only sell to 1% of the population, right? That feels very scary, and it's counterintuitive to like what we are as people, right? We think to ourselves, the more options that we have out there, the easier it will be, right? But niching doesn't really work that way, and we're going to kind of talk about that today. And maybe hopefully help everybody get over their fear of niching if you are scared of it. And then also maybe help you understand where it exists, how it exists, and maybe help you understand how to use it better for your coffee business. So I'm going to share a screen with you guys. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Can you guys see?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So we're just going to start by maybe talking about, and you can still see it. Just let me know if I'm talking about anything, or if there's something that I'm talking about and you guys feel like you can't see it, just let me know so we can get it fixed. So the first thing I'd like to do is talk about why we don't sell to everybody. And Kathy, you already mentioned that, you know, you kind of tend to do a lot of stuff and try a lot of different things. So these are some reasons why that doesn't necessarily work. And the number one that I put on here was lack of focus. And the reason that I put that on here is because that kind of lends itself to the rest of these. All these other ones are kind of based on lack of focus, right? So we waste our resources. And by wasting our resources, I mean time, money, marketing resources, things like that, because we don't focus on one individual group. That leads us to inefficient marketing, missed opportunities where we could just be selling to a certain group of people. We end up competing with people and other coffee companies that we don't need to compete with. We're wasting our resources trying to compete with those guys when the people that we're selling to over there wouldn't really necessarily want to buy our stuff anyway. We lose on our brand identity as well. And also we have customers that have unfulfilled needs or negative customer experience because of our lack of niche, right? And before we go any further, it's hard for me to talk about niche a little bit because I'm kind of in myself trained not to use buzzwords because I feel like they're kind of hard to understand for people. Branding's another one that I don't like to use that often because I feel like it's kind of a buzzword for people. But let me just define, well, we'll get into what niche is, but let me define what branding is exactly, what I think branding is. And I've said it before on my Instagram channel before, but branding is really a customer's gut feeling about a product, service, business, idea, right? That's all branding is. It's a customer's gut feeling about who you are, essentially. And so a lot of people might think that it's a logo, or it's a, maybe it's your colors or color palette you use, your typeface that you use. All that kind of helps create the branding and the brand, but it's really about like a customer's gut feeling, right? So you may have a certain gut feeling about Mercedes-Benz than I do, right? But hopefully all of our gut feelings kind of tend to align in the same space. And that's what Mercedes is trying to do. So there's that. So what is a niche? So anybody have any idea what a niche is? And you can just throw something out there. You don't have to feel silly about it if you get it wrong, or if anybody? Bueller.
A predetermined market space or demographic that you're targeting specifically for whatever service or product you're trying to sell is my understanding of a niche. So instead of, like you mentioned earlier, focusing on 99% of the population that, probably all drink coffee, there's only a certain amount of that percentage, of the 99% that would maybe want a brand or a coffee that, caters to the outdoorsman and or the people that like hiking, camping, and that sort of thing. At least for me, that's what I consider it being a niche in our space.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty good. So I think that's great, actually. So I've kind of defined it here. It's not like the Webster's version of it or anything like that, but I just kind of wrote this down. A niche refers to a specialized segment of a larger market that caters to a specific group of customers with particular needs, preferences, or characteristics. So, I mean, it actually does kind of sound Webstery, I guess. It's a focused and well-defined portion of a broader market where products, services, or content are tailored to meet the unique requirements of a distinct target audience, right? So basically exactly what you just said, it's basically, I mean, niches exist everywhere. And we're about ready to get into that. I mean, even in the natural world, I mean, you look at birds in the natural world, each one of them occupy a certain niche in their environment. Woodpeckers, they beat on trees to get insects out of trees. You don't see robins doing that, right? They know where they sit. They like earthworms, right? So they'll hop over to the ground, find an earthworm, eat it, or another insect, right? Every place naturally kind of has its own place where water seeks its level, and that they become who they are, right? So let's talk about niches in the world that we see often, right? So I'm going to start with the cars, okay? So you guys can see this slide here, and I've got all these car logos here. Does anybody have, just by looking at this does anybody have a certain feeling about one of these car companies? Just go ahead and say something, anybody.
Ferrari, affluent. Rolls-Royce, affluent. Aston Martin, affluent. Good taste, I guess, if you wanted to call it that.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there. Whoever was going to say
Oh, that's
something.
good.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, I was along the same lines. I'm like Maserati, like high end.
Sure.
Kia is more like for the everyday person.
Okay. Right. Exactly.
Jeep is for more the outdoorsy people.
Right. Okay. So you're already, before we've even gotten into the specifics of these car companies, when you see these logos, you've already got a feeling inside about who they are, right? They've done a good job of, hopefully, if that's what they're going for. Like I know that Kia is trying to step up their game a little bit. They've just rebranded and they're trying to they're kind of wanting to go with kind of more higher end. But I agree with what you're saying. To me, a Kia is kind of an everyday car, at least that's what I have the feeling of, right? Okay, so and then we'll just say, like, who is this car company targeting, right? Obviously that affluent person, okay? But then when you get into that even deeper, these people are still targeting that same person, but a little bit different. They're getting a little more niched out, right? So, this one over here on the left that I'm circling here, that's kind of going to be more of your outdoorsy affluent person, right? Somebody that can spend a ton of money on something that looks really nice, but you feel like they could take it off road, but they probably never will, right? Okay, and then these two I put over here, the two sports cars I put over here. One's a Lamborghini and the other one is a Tesla Roadster. And I put those over here because it kind of goes to show you that even though these guys are selling to the same person, right? They're actually two different segments of the population, right? One person, the person that buys the Tesla Roadster, is probably going to want to be a little bit more high-end, environmentally friendly type person, and also a little more cutting edge. Right? Like it's going to be the same person that stood in line to buy the iPhone when it first came out, because they wanted to be first. And that's kind of what Tesla represents at this point. Obviously the Lamborghini is high performing and it costs a ton of money. And they're still selling to that type of person, but it's a little bit different niche. And so they almost don't compete with each other to a certain extent. Okay, this one, Ford F-250. That's a working man's truck, right? Somebody that's going to haul trailers, or work on the farm, maybe have a hay hook in the back, put a flatbed on it, something along those lines, or just have a real nice looking truck where they don't mind spending money on something that doesn't get great gas mileage, Okay, how about this one right here? Anybody? Family, right? It's got a ton of seats in it. Okay, this is the Toyota Highlander, is what this is. And this is one of the pictures off their website, right? And they're saying, hey, look what we provide for you, right? Plenty of space for your growing family or your big family. And it looks nice too. So that's probably going to be an upper middle class. I think those start out at like 43K or so, right? So, all right, so let's get into cereals. Okay, think about cereal for a second. I mean, they sell the same thing. Oh, actually, let me back that up. This is something I want to say about cars too. They're selling the exact same thing. They're selling 4 wheels on a frame that takes you from point A to point B, right? But they've obviously found different ways to sell to different segments of the population. And that's what niche is, right? And so that's the same thing here with the cereal. Right? There are all types of people that are going to purchase cereal. There's going to be moms that don't care about their kids' health, or dads that don't care about their kids' health and they just want them to eat something that has some substance for breakfast, or they just want them to eat and they don't want to argue about it, right? And so that might be the Oreo O's down there, right? Or the Reese's or the Cocoa Puffs. Whereas you have people that might want something a little bit more healthy and they're going to eat the Special K or the Corn Flakes, right? Rice Krispies are kind of in between there. It's sold to kids, but maybe a little bit healthier. And then here I want to talk a little bit about Cheerios. I saw this picture here. Cheerios is saying, hey, we're heart healthy, right? They've got the heart on the front of their box. But they've got a huge hold on the market. So they can actually kind of have a ton of different kinds of cereal. And you see here, they got Oat Crunch. They've got Maple Cheerios. And then you can see here too, they've got, that's just multi-grain Cheerios. And they're even sold out a little bit. I mean, it's so popular, they've sold out, right? So they sell a ton of cereal. And it's, and then you have the people that are trying to kind of play off of, and you find that like the kind of off-brand, multi-grain Cheerios that Great Value has. This must be Walmart, right? This picture is from Walmart. That's a Walmart brand right there. They have Toasted O's. Okay, so cereal's kind of in that same space. And I remember one of my reels I did on Instagram, we talked about radio stations and why doesn't every radio station just play all kinds of music, right? Here's some genres that I just have listed out here. If we were to play, the purpose of a radio station is to sell ads between songs and to keep people there to listen and not sell so many ads that it puts people off and they want to change the channel. That's the whole purpose of a radio station. And so we've got all these different types of music here: pop, rap, R&B, punk, right? If I played all of those types of music on my radio station, nobody would listen to it because they would wait forever for their type of music to roll back around, right? Like the closest you might be able to do, you could do like 90s, like rap and R&B, right? Maybe that's what I like to listen to when I was a kid, right? Like 90s rap, R&B. So like you could do a genre of music like that and play, your whole radio station would be that. But that's about all you could do. Like 70s punk, 80s punk, something like that is about all you could really do. We couldn't play all of this stuff. And what if you were trying to play all that stuff, you would be exactly the same as somebody that's trying to sell to everybody. They're trying to play music to everybody and they please nobody, right? Is all this making sense so far, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So how does that look in coffee, right? So in the coffee industry, a niche could be especially organic coffee beans targeting environmentally conscious and health conscious coffee enthusiasts, right? Overall, a niche allows businesses to stand out, serve a specific group of customers exceptionally well, and potentially become leaders in that specialized segment of the market. Okay, so I've got some coffee bags I just grabbed. These are just some bags that I like the packaging of these bags. And I just chose these just kind of randomly. Go ahead and anybody, Sweet Bloom Coffee Roasters, when you see that coffee bag, what does that say to you? Anybody?
To me, it's going for a more artistic type.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, totally. Like it feels handmade, artistic. Okay. So that's good. So that's like your initial impression of this thing. And hopefully that's aligning with their niche, right? And with their branding too. Branding and niche aren't the same thing, but they walk hand in hand. They are cut from the same cloth, essentially. Okay, anybody else? What about the Ritual Coffee Roasters over there? What does that say? It's kind of hard to see, really. What this is supposed to be is like a kind of a hand-drawn sun, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little more relaxed. It is still artistic, but kind of in a different way. They actually have really great colors with all of their packaging. You can kind of see it here. I didn't choose the best picture, but they have some really great colors that really stand out. What about Proud Mary Coffee down here? What does that say? Anybody?
A little bit more playful. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kind of trippy.
It is trippy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's artistic. It is kind of a little bit edgy, kind of, you know what I mean? Like the colors they're using and stuff. Artistic for sure, but in a different way than Sweet Bloom is, and so they're saying, we're vibrant, we're fun. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Even if you look at the descriptions, I don't know if you guys can see these down here, but it's like mild, curious, and wild for, you know what I'm saying? For their roast, you know what I mean? Rather than having light, medium, and dark. And so they're obviously a playful coffee company, which is pretty neat. And then we have Stumptown over here, which is, obviously really popular, but I just wanted to bring those guys up because a lot of their stuff feels you know, kind of handmade or artisanal kind of. So that harkens that feeling. Does anybody, what do you guys get when you think of Stumptown? Although I've already filled in some of the blanks.
Earthly.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I like that.
So I'm not actually familiar with that brand, but what caught my attention is the word Oatly. Are they partnering with Oatly?
Sure. Right. So that's like some cold coffee that they have with oat milk, like some cold brew, I think. Let me see.
So I
Yeah.
use Oatly milk here in Wisconsin, but I've not heard of Stumptown coffee.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty big. I guess they're based out of the Pacific Northwest, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they're very popular and they sell a lot of coffee online. So,
So from my perspective, the brand recognition is coming from Oatly
okay.
that
Yeah,
might
right.
have made it to the Midwest before Stumptown did.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's
And-
good.
and-
And that's the goodness of a partnership, right?
And then on Proud Mary's, it's interesting that I actually had to search for their roaster name, that their names of their blends are bigger and more prominent on their packaging.
Yes. Yeah, right. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, because like you look at Sweet Bloom and they don't really even have a name necessarily, you know. I mean, I guess they haven't. Yeah, it's just natural and honey, which is really the way they've been washed probably more than anything. So it's that is interesting.
You know, for me, for the Proud Mary, unless this was obviously on a shelf full of other coffees, I wouldn't know that that's actually a coffee brand.
Because it feels so far removed from that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, for me, again, unless it's on a shelf where, you know, like the cereal brand that you just showed, where there's about other cereals that you can obviously choose from, my first indication would be, oh, look, what's this coffee, right? It's
right.
It kind of gives me the feel of like candy, like a bag of candy or something.
Yeah, or like a festival that's going to happen, like a music festival.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So all of these people here, you know, they have found who they are trying to reach, and so, you know, obviously, Joel, you know, Proud Mary might not be for you, but that's okay because we're not trying to reach everybody, right?
Right.
So let's look at this. I just made this little diagram real quick to just kind of talk about niche. And this was like the very first thing I made when I started this webinar. And I just do it in here maybe because just to kind of illustrate how niches work and, you know, where you guys might be. Obviously, you know, Kathy, you're in a different place than this. But retail coffee has a ton of different segments, right? So you have roasters, wholesale equipment, online merch, grocery, and there's more than that. I just wrote those out there because that's some of them, right? So in there you have roasters. You also have people that own coffee shops, right? And then what kind of a roaster are you? So I've down here written, because I didn't have room inside these boxes, single origin roasters, micro roaster, organic fair trade roaster, roaster retailers. These are just all different types of roasters that you can be. And, you know, just kind of helps illustrate how you can niche yourself out. I wanted to get into why niching works from a scientific point of view. And I actually posted a little bit about this today on Instagram. And I had this little diagram here, different colors, but the same thing. Why, how, and what, and why does niching work? So there is a TED Talk that there's a guy named Simon Sinek. Lines of what I said on Instagram here, you know, not too long ago. It's one of my pinned posts at the top. Like people purchase for very selfish reasons. They purchase because it you know, fulfills them emotionally. They feel connected to it, solves their problems. There's other things that I put on there, right? But the first one I put was it fulfills them emotionally, because that's so important to why we purchase things. And in that TED Talk, Simon Sinek talks about that. He talks, and the name of the TED Talk, I think, is Why Leaders Start with Why, or something along those lines. You can find, if you look up Simon Sinek, why, you'll find the TED Talk. It's fantastic. It's about 17 or 18 minutes long, and it's well worth your time to check out. He talks about why people showed up in Washington for the I Have a Dream speech. He talks because people showed up because of what they believed in. They believed in what Martin Luther King believed in, and that's why they showed up. They didn't show up for him. They showed up for themselves, right? And I'm not trying to ruin the TED Talk if you end up watching it. But that's kind of what it's about. And then he goes into the science of all of that. Is this all making sense so far?
Yep.
Okay, cool. He goes into the science of why that happens. And he says that our limbic system is kind of an older part of our brain. And if you go back to this diagram back here, right here, I have why and how. The why and how makes up your limbic system. Or your limbic system controls your why and your how of your decision making. Or excuse me, of the reason people purchase. Okay, so what he says is people don't purchase what you do, they purchase why you do it. They don't purchase how you do it, they purchase why you do it. Okay, and so basically right here he talks about the limbic system of our brains, and that's responsible for emotions, feelings, and behaviors. People are associated with that as the gut feeling, and we get when we make decisions. Okay, so decisions made based on emotions and feelings often lead to more profound and lasting connections. When people feel emotionally connected to a cause or an idea, they are more likely to take action and be loyal. Okay, and that goes back to what we were talking about earlier when we looked at those car logos and asked you guys what was the feeling that you got from those logos. Each one of you were able to say, hey, I felt this from it, or I felt that. There's a reason for that. Because you're making that decision with your limbic system. And your neocortex is the part of your brain which is newer. It's more human, you might say. And it's responsible for rational thought, language, and analytical thinking. So sometimes people ask you, well, describe that for me. You say, well, I can't really describe it. It's just kind of a feeling that I had. The reason you have trouble describing it, or the reason maybe you have to use analogies or metaphors, is because because the feeling that we have isn't very much connected to our neocortex. And we're going to get into this right now with a brand that everybody kind of recognizes. Does anybody out there not know who Harley Davidson is? Cool. Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, so Harley Davidson, my dad owns a Harley. Right. So, and I know why he bought Harley Davidson. And if we get into Harley Davidson's why, if you go to their website right now and go to our mission, I pulled this from their website, our mission, more than building machines. So they're saying what they do right there. But they say more than building machines, we stand for the timeless pursuit of adventure and freedom for the soul. And would you all say that aligns with what you think Harley Davidson is in your mind?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. It's like open road, like no boundaries. Nobody's telling me what to do type deal. Right. Kind of not really anarchist, but you know what I mean? Just kind of like, hey, I'm on my own here. I make my own rules, freedom for the soul. I mean, and they've done a good job with that. Now their how, Harley Davidson's how is this. I got this from their website too. Is overarching ambition to elevate the design and craftsmanship of our apparel offering, with form, fit, and function as a priority, underpinned by quality. Their what is they manufacture a premium, or they are. Oh, it should say they are. That's a typo. They are the manufacturer of premium motorcycles. So they own a market share of about 3.1 million people in the United States. Which is great because that's nearly 10% of the population, about 330 million people in the United States. And they own almost 10% of it, which is fantastic, right? They've done a really good job with their marketing and their messaging. And I mean, they've been around a long time, so they've had an opportunity to do that. Which gets me into do something remarkable, okay? So if you're saying to your customers, we have a small batch roaster, we roast to order, premium coffee, we have quality, we're the best tasting, or anything else like this, you're telling them what you do, right? You're not telling them why you do it. So they're having trouble connecting with that. Not to mention the fact that when you're saying those things, you're saying a lot of the same stuff that everybody else says. If you go to roasters online, or you go to, like, if you go to their Instagram bio and you look at their bio, almost every one of them is saying that we are one of those things, right? We roast to order, we're premium coffee, quality sourced, all these different things that they say. And there's no real connection there. And it's kind of hard to believe, actually, especially if you say like we're the best, because like there's a lot of other coffee out there. How can you possibly quantify that, right? So it might be a little bit better. And here's when we start to get into the why and your niche, where these guys kind of come together, is something like this. We've partnered with Camp Ozark, and for every 10 bags sold, a child gets to attend a week-long camp for free, right? So as a consumer, because I'm going to buy coffee anyway, it makes more sense for me to purchase good coffee from somebody that is in line with something that I believe. I loved camp growing up. I loved the outdoors growing up. And it would make a lot more sense for me to buy coffee from these people because their values align with mine, right? Few other examples. We donate 10% of our proceeds to cancer research, right? So guess what? My grandma has cancer, right? And that's actually true. She's doing well. But that aligns with me. It's like, wow, cool. I would love to see a cure for cancer. Is it going to happen? I don't know, because it's better to keep people on pills, right? We can get into that, but we're not going to, right? Raising mental health awareness 1 cup at a time. Okay. So like, that's important to me. Mental health awareness is important to me. Planting trees for a better future. That aligns with my values as a human being. I care about the environment. Maybe I'm an environmentalist, right? And so it's important for me to see people that are working towards those same goals. It makes sense for me to buy. Now I feel in tune with your company. It makes a lot more sense for me to buy from you, right? Is that making sense to everybody? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
I have a question, if you don't mind, or should I wait to the end and ask?
Well, we're almost done. Just if you can remember it,
yep.
Just hold it, because we're just getting there. Like, we're almost there. Let me just finish this up real quick, okay? As far as the fear factor for niching, right? Here's some stats for you. 3 in 4 Americans drink coffee every single day. That's 74% of the population drinks coffee every single day. Here's the number. Current population, I just times it by 0.74 and I got this number, okay? 247 million people in a third, 49% of people drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. The 163 million people, nearly 164 million people, drink 3 to 5 cups of coffee a day. It's a huge number that we're selling to, right? We don't have to sell to every one of those people. I mean, if you just start taking that down by 10%, that's 16 million people, right? You take that down by another 10%, it's 163,000 people. That's way more than you could possibly ever sell to, right? So 0.1% of that number of 163 million people is still 16,775 people. So if you just sold to 0.1% of our population that actually drinks coffee 3 to 5 cups a day, you're still selling to 16,775 people. That's plenty of people to sell to. And that should help you at least alleviate a little bit of your fear. You could never sell that much coffee, right? Does that make sense, guys?
Well, when you put it like that, yes, it does.
It just, you know what I mean? So the fear shouldn't even be there. You guys are in a market that makes a lot of sense to be in, because there's a ton of people. Now, you do have competition, but as you niche yourself out and only sell to that, you are only spending, you're only trying to grab the 16,000 people that resonate with your message. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, I really resonate with those people. I actually had a guy that I helped here recently, and he hasn't done that. I did this webinar for him, actually, or at least he gave me the idea to do it. I should say that, because I helped him understand who he is and what his niche is. And it's geared towards the mental health of men to a certain extent, which is cool. There's people out there that resonates with. And I asked him how it was going here recently. I was like, hey, you know, I've been seeing your stuff, you know, how's it going and everything. I was like, I'm not really seeing it. He's like, yeah, he's just afraid to lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
He's afraid to lean into that because if he doesn't sell to everybody, he's going to miss his sales. And so I was like, man, I need to get him out of that space, out of that headspace, and help him understand that you still have more than enough people to sell to, but those people are going to be your passionate, rabid fans. That's what we're looking for. When I say do something remarkable, the word remarkable is twofold. It means you're doing something that we consider remarkable, but the word remarkable in itself means something that we can remark about, something that people can actually get behind and say, hey, guess what? You and I are about the same people here. The same stuff resonates with us. Let's say we'll get back to that, like maybe that environmental thing. One of your friends is an environmentalist too. You say, hey, listen, there's this coffee I've been trying. It's really good. And not only that, there's this, right? They plant trees. They plant trees for us. Or the thing about the kids going to camp, right? All these different things are there for us to use as tools to help sell our coffee if we lean into it. But we have to not be afraid to do that. So we've got a lot of the population to sell to if we just do it. So this is kind of the conclusion here. The goal isn't to do business with people who want to buy coffee, because as we said earlier, there's a ton of people that want to buy coffee. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Okay. So that's it. As far as the webinar goes, that portion of it, but I would like to do a Q&A if we could. And obviously we have some questions. So I'm going to just kind of jump off this presentation here and get back into the video. Okay. So Joel, if you had a question.
Let me try to formulate the question again, man. Honestly, after you went through those numbers, I went into something else. So
I am so sorry. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
I have a question. So
Sure.
Are there any like thought exercise recommendations? Because we have like an audience, but I don't think it's niche enough. So I think we need to hone in on that. So then we can have that kind of remarkable why to cater that audience. So are there any like exercises that you recommend to help us get to that actual like niche audience?
Sure. Okay. So one thing, and there's a video on this. I don't have, if I can find it, maybe, that Simon's the same guy that created that why, how, what, goal. It's called his golden circle. I think he actually has an exercise where he asks you to, and this is a personal exercise, so it wouldn't be as much for a business. But he has a personal exercise where he says, you sit down with your friend, your best friend. You don't sit down with your husband or your wife or your partner or whatever, because it's too close, it's too intimate. But you sit down with somebody that you would answer their phone call in the middle of the night, is what he says. And you ask them why we're friends. And he says in the beginning of it, they're going to say, well, I mean, come on, you know, and they're going to have trouble answering it. And they're going to kind of and you ask them again, and they're going to have trouble answering it. And then eventually you'll kind of get them to where they say, well, I don't know. And they'll talk about themselves. And instead of answering it about you, they'll say, well, I don't know. But what I do know is that you light up a room and you make me feel good about myself and whatever it is. Right. And that's your answer, actually. So all those things that they're saying, the response, the way that you, the results that they have, that you have on them, like the effect that you have on them is your personal why. Now, in regards to like for your business and stuff like that, I wasn't going to push this too hard because that's not what this is about. But I do help with that. I have a workshop that it's like a brand discovery workshop, really. And part of that is discovering your niche, and discovering your, like kind of your mission statement, who you are, is like kind of the statement you can kind of look back to throughout your entire, like every time you make a decision for your company, you're kind of leaning back to this mission statement saying, does that align with our goals as a company and our values? If you want to, we can talk about that like later. But let's see. I'll see if I can find some resources for you too, you know, if you're not interested in that. that would help with that. I mean, I know that the workshop that I have works. It's just whether or not you want to do it, and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
Cool. Kathy, how you doing over there? Yeah, pleasure.
Good. I'm just trying to, digest it all in kind of my frame of but I still have to niche. And it's so hard because I want to serve everybody, but I just can't. So, similarly, I've been trying to go through some exercises as to how to define my niche. And being in a small town, it's hard because I know the people personally who are going to fall outside of my niche. So just trying to be okay with that sometimes.
Yeah, that I get what you're saying. And actually, you just kind of brought something up. So Becca, back to what you were saying just now. One of the things that I can recommend really is, and that's the whole point of all of this really, is being yourself is a good start, right? Like, I just did a thing on Thursday, like a Instagram live, and we talked about niche a little bit in that. And like, I gave the example of somebody that owns a coffee shop that's into comic books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if I just embody that as a coffee shop, I'm going to put, comic books all over the walls, or like, just cool illustrations from comic books, things like that. The bathrooms may have a comic book page open when I'm going to the bathroom at the urinal, or like when you close the stall door, there might be, you know what I mean? Just things like that. I'm going to lean really hard into that. And I'm alienating a ton of people, but also, you know what? Like, there's going to be a ton of people say, man, this place is cool. I really like the vibe. You know what I mean? And it aligns with who I am as a person. So just maybe lean into, better than anybody who you are, and stuff, and just kind of lean into who you are. I mean, Joel, you guys really have a cool thing going on, as far as you guys are like really this close, actually. Really, I think that your branding's on point, and stuff. I think maybe some partnerships, or you guys could even, and this goes for everybody here, tips and tricks, camping tips, right? You know what I'm saying? Get to like really lean into it and give that sort of thing out to people on a daily basis. Like, hey, not only do these guys align and give really cool stuff, it's like this guy just started a fire on his page with like 2 sticks. You know what I'm saying? And also he sells good coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's about. It really is.
Well, I appreciate the feedback, man. That means a lot to both of us. We even wear our hiking boots every time we're out and doing what we do. So
That's part of our uniform.
Part of our uniform, actually. So we're trying really hard to define that niche as the days go by. So things like this and the information you put out has been very, very helpful, actually. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
great.
Joel, I have a question for you.
Sure. Oh, Joel. Yeah, cool.
What coffee do you guys sell? Might order myself a bag.
What's that, man? I'm sorry?
What coffee? Do you guys sell coffee bag? Like
we do, yes. If you go to trailblendcoffee.com, we have specialty coffee. Obviously, we don't sell roast to order. The reason we do this, as Quinto was saying, we love the outdoors, we love camping, like hiking, and we like to bring that into your coffee cup. In fact, we roast for the wild at heart. How about that?
Yeah,
Cool.
Could you
Love it, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are really close to each other, I think, because you guys are both out of San Diego.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Yeah, we should hook up, man. We like to. I love the brand, by the way. Little Baggins, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we actually came up with that over a couple drinks, and it just like it stuck, and we kind of rolled with it. I think a lot of what Quentin's been saying, we've been listening to his like Instagram and everything like that. We kind of are starting to lean into more having fun and just being who we are. Like, we like memes. I like to laugh, like, Jim Carrey on anything kind of deal. And we first we're doing like kind of serious, like, here's a beautiful cup of coffee, but people started buying more when we're just putting up stupid memes. And it's like really funny because we think it's funny. And now people are really like responding. And it's like, I think it's hilarious. Like people follow our coffee page just for the memes. So it's not, it's weird. But we're trying to still find that niche a little bit, but it's now that we're just starting to be ourselves a little bit and having fun with it. It's actually pretty fun to see it grow. So we're still small fish in the pond, but we give good coffee to people that probably unassumingly never had it before, So that's how we're going right now.
You guys I was thinking about it while you're talking. It's like Little Baggins, the only thing we're serious about is good coffee, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that gives you that kind of space to just be silly as you want. You know what I mean? People are like, yeah, we expect that. Your slogan is this, or whatever. So
that's really good, man.
Yeah.
That's good. I hope you're not going to invoice them for that later, are you?
Yeah, right.
Listen, hey, if I have to write it down for you, it's not free. But if I just have to say it out loud, it's totally free.
Awesome.
Hey, Quentin, I'm curious from a cafe perspective,
Sure.
and actually your roaster's perspective. So Rusty Dog Coffee, they were selling online, and then their entree to market was really through cafes and coffee shops. And they most recently have a game plan to get into grocers. And as a coffee shop that was looking for a unique, non-commoditized brand, I was very opposed to it and voiced my concern. So just curious on your perspective from the roasters here and your perspective on growth of a coffee brand.
Yeah, well, I tell you, just from my point of view, it could kind of work both ways a little bit. Like you could say, well, they can just buy it anywhere. Why would they come to my coffee shop if I'm serving that? But you fix your drink certain ways that people at home can't, right? So that's number one, right? Most people don't have espresso machines at their home. That if they do, they're like $300 espresso machines at the most, and they still don't make a good espresso, right? They don't know about weights. They don't know about, pull times or anything like that, right? So they're making a crappy cup of espresso and they can't get it to taste like yours anyway, right? Number two is if there's brand recognition out there, you say, hey, we serve Rusty Dog, right? It's like, oh, cool. I do like their coffee. So like some brand recognition from a local roaster isn't a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we proudly serve Rusty Dog here. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Well, we like Rusty Dog. In fact, they're popular. We've never tried them before, but we see them in the grocery store. They must be doing something right. You know what I mean? So there's all that stuff that kind of goes with that.
True.
So what were your thoughts on the negativity of it? I'm just curious to help address that too.
So for again, I live in a town of 1,500 people, small town. We have one grocery store, and they asked for my feedback when they were about to approach the franchise of our local grocery store. And I was opposed to it just because I didn't feel it was in line with their branding. Actually, people don't think super highly of our local grocery store. It's not top quality. People will travel further to go to a different grocery store. So, I wasn't opposed when they were going into more of the boutique grocers and the fresh markets and things like that. But I cautioned them to analyze that it was in line with their existing branding to go into our local grocery store, because I didn't feel their coffee sells at a premium. And I said, anyone who can afford your coffee is going to travel elsewhere to do their grocery shopping. So it was more to make sure that the brands were aligned. And I didn't think it was to come into our local grocery store.
I hear what you're saying. That's a little bit different story. Maybe is it a family-owned grocery store, like a one-off, or is it like an old Piggly Wiggly that's falling apart?
It's a Piggly Wiggly.
No kidding. Yeah, I can hear that.
It's a Piggly Wiggly, and we value and treasure the Piggly Wiggly in town because they serve our small demographic here. But I think they're having some quality control issues, and I don't think that the demographic that the coffee brand is going for, they're going to find in Piggly Wiggly. People are going
ceiling tiles. The ceiling tiles are coming down.
What's that?
like the ceiling tiles are falling down and
Some,
stuff? Or-
some, yeah,
I'm
yes.
feeling it.
They're
I've
stained
been to
and
that. I've been to that Piggly Wiggly before, just so you know. So
yeah,
not
they're all the
not
same.
really, but yeah.
I mean, I love the people, and we treasure them, and I do a lot of my shopping there, but I just didn't want my coffee roaster that I've helped to label as a higher end coffee go into there.
Yeah. Well,
People buy
I hear
Maxwell House at Piggly Wiggly. They don't buy
Sure.
high end coffee.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's kind of a tough one. Well, hopefully whatever happens, they make the right decision, because that's a little bit different story. It sounds like.
They did take my advice, and they said they were going to hold off and focus on some other ones right now, but they were trying to get into some demographic areas that Piggly Wiggly would cover for them. But I buy enough coffee from them that they decided to hold off for now.
I got you. So, and then something that might help you too, as far as your niche and stuff goes, when you live in a small town, one big thing that matters is trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for your small town, I mean, you don't have to go you don't have to sell comic books or put comic books on the wall or anything like that. You know what I mean? It could just be the niche could just be hometown coffee shop, right? It doesn't have, you know what I mean? And just stay in line with that. Keep things narrow there, though, like as far as your menu goes and stuff like that. And obviously, you'll have seasonal things, you know, like all your pumpkin spice stuff over the fall and into Christmas and stuff like that. But, you know, maybe partnership with some of the farmers there that have that sell fruit and stuff. You guys have apples up there.
Yep.
So maybe make some like kind of apple-based drinks in the summer, or you know, fruit-based drinks. You have like blueberries and stuff up there, and blackberries. So like things like that. Maybe you know, just what I would do is I would entrench myself as much as possible in the community, and that would help you a lot. I don't think you have to go so far. Like, you know, you don't have to do like trail. Like you don't have to go into some crazy, you know, like I said, like comic books, or go down some trail of some weird, you know, space that like alienates a ton of your town, because you've got 1,500 people that you're drawing from.
Sure.
Right? So, so just try to find a good niche that works well with your community, but lean on that hard, and make sure everything is in line with that. You just don't want a bunch of stray hairs all over the place. And it sounds like kind of that's what you have going on right now.
A little bit. We opened right before COVID. And so if anything, I learned how to pivot fast and throw darts at the wall and see what sticks. And now we're having to peel that back a little bit and really focus on what's given us a bigger ROI.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. No, that's cool. And just on that Piggly Wiggly thing, so the one that I just got to go back to this really quick. One of the Piggly Wigglies we went to, we were down in Alabama or something on the road, and we went into one in this little town called Robertsdale, or I think that's where it's at. Anyway, I walked out there, I was like, oh my, you know, and my kid, he's 12 now, but he was like 7 at the time. He was like, Dad, it's called Piggly Wiggly. What do you expect? I was like, okay. Like, I guess you're probably right on that, dude. Yeah, 7-year-old's got it figured out, right? So, hey, Joel, here's something for you, man, because you guys do a lot at Farmers Market, and this goes for you guys, Becca and Matt as well, because I think you guys sell at Farmers Market. You guys do some live events too, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So anybody, if you guys can do anything to help incorporate your brand in that, right? So, you know, if you, I mean, and you guys really, Lil Baggins, you guys are a little bit further off than Joel is. But like Joel, like you could maybe, this is crazy, right? And it may come down, because you guys are in California, so things are a little bit sketchier there as far as like what is allowed and what isn't. But I know around here where I'm at, and I'm in Arkansas, it's a little bit different. But like if I had your brand, like if I had your coffee and I was set up at a farmer's market, I would have a little pile of wood or some kindling or something, and like a couple of sticks, and it's like start a fire, get a free cup of coffee, right? Or something like that. I know that's crazy, and they like, we don't want fires at farmer's market, right? But you do it kind of safely, right? You know what I'm saying? But like, dude, the commotion that would cause, you got all these guys that think they're He-Man that want to start this fire, you know? I mean, it would be really cool. And it would draw attention to you guys and get people lined up to watch it maybe or something. I'm just throwing stuff out there. You know what I mean? It's okay to have fun.
I like the idea. We currently have a cornhole that I have set up on the corner.
Ah,
And the idea
okay.
is that you make it in the cornhole, you get $1 off. And of course, people come over, they start playing. Nobody makes it, but they still get $1 off anyway, you know?
I like it, man.
So I
Yeah.
like the idea
Okay,
of a
cool.
Kindle Fire. I'll try it next week. A video.
Probably
clip.
dangerous.
If the fire department gets there, I'll just say Quentin said to do it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Send them my way, man. Send them my way. Be like, here, this is like, yeah. That's good. Okay, cool. Anybody else? Any questions? I wish I could do a cricket chirp sound. I can almost do it, but it sounds so bad. Okay. Well, if that's it, guys, I want to thank you all for coming today and really appreciate your time and stuff. And I hope that we accomplished some stuff. If you have any other questions, just toss them my way on Instagram. You guys can DM me. And really, I hope that you got some value out of this.
Definitely.
I did. Thanks.
100%. 100%. A lot of value. We appreciate your time, Quentin. I appreciate
Okay,
it very
cool.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great one.
Thanks, Quentin.
Thank you.
Yep. Talk to you.